I've seen so many Christian TikTokers throwing off on their Tinder dates and their Bumble dates, and so I had to join in. So this is the story of my first ever and last Tinder date. So I'm swiping through the app, trying to find a potential person to go on a date with, and I come across this guy who seems quite normal and relatively nice. We ended up matching and started talking, and he wanted to go on a date. But before the date, we waited like a week, and he would call me every single day, and we would talk on the phone for like an hour, sometimes 2 hours, learning stuff about each other before we met in person. So we decided to go ice skating, which seems very normal. So we are going to do ice skating and like a steak dinner. But from where he lived and where I lived, the closest ice skating place for him was 2 hours away for him and only about 35 minutes away from me. So he drove an hour and met me um, at a mall, and we talked. Again, we've been talking for like a week. I felt comfortable enough with him and drove us the rest of the way, so in hours, that he wouldn't have to drive 2 hours because that seemed unfair to me. So we get to the ice skating place, we start skating, we're having a really good time. He's being very gentlemanly, very polite. And when I'm putting on my skates, he gets a phone call. He's just kind of like, oh, hey, I have to talk to you later. I'm somewhere right now. Call me back later. Doesn't seem too stressed by it. Didn't seem weird at all. And so I was just like, I'm not going to be crazy about it. Like, it's just a first date. We ended up having a great time. We ended up going to get food. He paid for my steak dinner. Very polite. The whole time he's been talking about how much fun he's having, how he can't wait to go on another date. He hasn't had this much fun in such a long time. So I ended up taking him back to his car. We ended up kissing goodnight. That's very important to the story. And then he went home, and I went home. And then he started acting really weird. We've been talking to each other like constantly the week leading up to this date. But after the date, it was like I never really heard from him. He finally messages me 14 days after the date and tells me, by the way, I got married 4 days ago. And I was like, what? Turns out he had been dating a girl, they were on a break, and he wanted to go out on a last date to make sure that that was the one he wanted to marry. I'll give everybody one guess on what his career was. To top it all off, he told me that he thought me and his wife would be really good friends and he wanted me to meet her. I will never use Tinder again.